Welcome back to Fast Market on the TD Ameritrade Network. I'm Tom White, joined by my co-host, Kevin Hinks. Let's bring in our next guest, though, and that's for our cash tag segment. It's going to be Landon Swan, the co-founder of LikeFolio. Welcome back, Landon.
Hey, guys. Good to be here.
All right, so we're talking Roku. Now, this stock is taken its brunt of downside here, down about 60% so far this year. It hit an all-time high last July, $490 a share. Are people just not tuning in to Roku anymore? It seems like they're ramping up ad revenue. They're getting more partners on their platform. This is a big aggregator, but what kind of consumer sentiment data are you seeing? Are we seeing a slowdown in people using or talking about Roku?
You know what? I think this is a case of the stock got a little ahead of itself. I mean, we were in the time where you could buy anything and it would go up, and so you wanted to buy the stocks that were going up the fastest, and that was growth stocks. Roku was one of those, and I think it just got way ahead of itself. Now, we have been bullish on this stock for quite some time. I don't know if you guys remember, there was a Vegas conference that we were at together pre-pandemic, maybe right before, and we were talking about the spend, the spend on streaming versus the hours on streaming. Something like 30% of, again, this is a few years ago, 30% of average of streaming. I'm sorry, 30% of viewing hours were streaming, but only 3% of advertising was on streaming. So that 10-to-1 ratio was a gap that had to be filled, and Roku was primed to take advantage of that. And you can see, going back to, pre-pandemic levels, this blue line, people talking about Roku, it was on a nice little uptrend. And then, of course, as everyone was locked in, it spiked, huge spike, huge run up, huge adoption increase. The stock followed. Since then, the mentioned count have gone back to where they were before, and the stock has gone back to where it was before. I love this chart. It just kind of showcases how much ahead of the curve the LikeFolio data can be when it comes to stock price and user adoption. But overall, Roku is by far the leader, and they're up against some heavy hitters. I mean, you look at the competition, it's Apple TV, it's Amazon Fire, it's Google Chromecast. I mean, to try to compete against those three companies, three of the largest tech companies in the world, and to do it in a way that is dominant. I mean, they are the player. So this is a company that knows what they're doing. They've transitioned from selling devices to becoming a platform. That is now, I think, 7/8 of their sales is a platform. It's about 88%. And so they've also got a lot of tailwinds helping them. If you look at people talking about buying these devices and just getting inside, trying to get inside people's TVs, basically. They're not really selling the boxes anymore. Now they're integrating, and they just want to get on your TV in any way possible so that they can get you on their platform and they can take advantage in ad revenues. And you can see here, smart TV purchases had a big boom during COVID, pulled back a little bit, but now we're back on a positive streak, up 9% year over year. So they have tailwinds helping them. If you look at the cable, people talking about using cable services, it is just the opposite, as you would imagine. It's completely going down. And for the first time ever, streaming is actually overtaking cable, which is surprising to me. It seems like that would have happened years ago, but right now 65% of households have streaming devices and 63% have cable devices. So it just got passed. I don't know who these 63% of people are, but there's still a lot of people clinging to cable. But when you look at people, I figured it might be, honestly. Didn't want to call you out, but I'm not surprised. But when you look at people just talking about streaming overall, again, it was on a nice uptrend. Pandemic kind of, produced this false uptick. We've reverted back to that uptrend that we were on, and this is just another tailwind that's helping this company. So this is a company where they've got a lot of things in the industry helping them out, moving them in the right direction. Tailwinds and trends are helping, and they're the leader, and they're beating some very tough high-tech giants in this space. And so this is a company I absolutely love. I think, again, it was probably overpriced and up near 500, but now we're back under 100 and, off 80% from highs. I think this is a great deal moving forward, even though they've already bounced a little bit, like you said. I think that long-term, this is a company that has demonstrated their ability to not only compete, but dominate against really, really tough competition.
I'm writing notes as you're talking, Landon. Possibly a little overpriced. Got it. Yeah. $4.90 to $72. Maybe a little overpriced. Thank you for lightly touching on the overpriced part of that, Landon. But here's the thing. You know, TV prices are up, TV sales are down. That doesn't help Roku, right? Ad spending from autos, from consumer goods. Because of supply chain, that follows through to ad spending. That's not great for Roku. The overall devices that they sell, prices are going up. That hurts. Yet, this company still grew sales at 28%. I agree with the overvalued, obviously. The question is, when is it safe to get in these growth stocks, get back in them? Because the market just took growth and completely eliminated it as a variable in this economy, right? That's what they attacked first. If you didn't have solid earnings and solid cash flow, you got hurt. But I'm going to tell our viewers right now, if you listened to Roger Goodell this morning, streaming, football is going streaming. It's just a matter of when it goes, not if. But it's going, eventually you're going to have to stream, Tom White, because football is going to be on streaming. And by the way, I have both. I have cable and streaming. So I'm not willing to cut the cord, but I'm adding cords as well. So I'm doing both. But I think eventually sports is going to be streaming because these guys are going to realize that's the best place to spend their money. So Landon, here's my question to you. Are all these problems with Roku, can they all be written off as just temporary? These are all things that they're going to weather and continue to grow. Remember, I remember asking you guys 2 years ago, is Roku going to be the winner? Tell me which one is going to be the winner. Are we talking about the winner here?
I mean, the only way you can say Roku's not going to be the winner is if you just put blind faith in, Apple, Amazon, or Google. And again, these are companies that sure. I wouldn't doubt, right? They're dominant. They crush everything that they touch, but not in this case. And they've been coming after Roku for a long time, but Roku is holding them off and growing. I mean, their active accounts are up 14%. Up 1 million active accounts. Their streaming hours are up 14%. The revenue per user is up 34%. They are doing a fantastic job. And yeah, it's against stiff competition, but the only way that you could say it's not going to be Roku is if you just think, well, surely Amazon or Apple or Google can beat them. I have no evidence to say that that's the case because they haven't so far. They should, right? These are trillion-dollar companies that should be able to beat little bitty Roku, but they haven't done it yet. So why would we think that all of a sudden something's going to change? As far as like timing on this stock, I think you're absolutely right. It's all about growth versus value. And as soon as investors start to shift back to growth, this is going to be one of the first. This one and maybe NVIDIA are some of my favorites. When you get a movement over back to growth, now we're in value and income and all that. And that's not Roku's wheelhouse. You wouldn't invest in this company. But now, just like they were maybe overbought and maybe a little outstretched at $4.95, I think they're a little bit undervalued right here. And again, once we see a shift back into growth, whenever that may be, I mean, that's the tough part of predicting the market is, are we headed for a recession? What's the market going to do over the next 6 to 12 months? But when it comes time to shift back into growth, I think Roku is positioned to be very, very undervalued and a great buy at that point.
Yeah, Landon, and just for clarification, yeah, I still got cable, but I'm still subscribed to like 5 streaming services also. So I'm with you, Kevin. I'm on both sides of it. I can't let go of the cable yet.
Let it go.
Not
you gotta
yet.
let it go, boys.
Not yet. Landon, real quick though, if you look at the data, over 60 million subscribers to this. Is this in your opinion, or maybe the data supports it? They've got 10,000 streaming services offered through Roku, including TD Ameritrade Network. You can get it there. But is this the new cable? Or is this the aggregator of all these streaming services? And nobody can keep track of them. So have a Roku. People seem to enjoy it. They're starting with ad revenue. You mentioned that, and Kevin mentioned the growth numbers there for this company. But is that the key? Why maybe some of these other bigger name companies and maybe Netflix, there was speculation about them buying Roku. Is this the reason that you're going to see everybody kind of migrate to Roku because you have so many streaming services, and this is a one-stop aggregator shop.
I think that's it. I think that they're sort of content agnostic. They don't care who wins. They're going to let all these other services fight that battle.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes back to the, who's selling the pickaxes in the gold rush. And this is, I remember one of my first investments was Cisco back in 99 or 2000. And the logic was, who cares which website wins? They're all powered by a Cisco device. Well, who cares which streaming service is going to be dominant? We're showing some signs of weakness from Netflix and strength from others. But it doesn't matter. You're going to get it on a Roku device. So why worry about that battle and just go with the one who's getting everyone to that point? And Roku has again, they're dominating that space, and they just don't care if it's Netflix or Apple or all the others, all these streaming services, and there may be new ones that come along. That just helps their case. So yeah, I think that they are the content agnostic one, just sort of on the sidelines watching the battle of the streamers while they take a piece of every view. So I love their position long term. And again, we got to wait for the rollover into growth stocks. And when we do, this is going to look like it's undervalued at $95.
Yeah, and maybe that has already started because this stock's up now about 14% so far this month alone off of those 52-week lows that we saw of about $72 a share. All right, Landon, great stuff. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
All right, that's Landon Swan, co-founder of LikeFolio, breaking down the data here on Roku. Now,